This is Radio Taiwan International. Welcome to the news on Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. We begin with a look at today's top stories for Friday, July 18th. The electricity is still out for hundreds in Chiayi County 10 days after Typhoon Danis. The Education Ministry has responded to the recent university blood for credit scandal, and maritime warnings have been issued for Typhoon Wipa. But first, today's top story. According to Taipower, hundreds of households in Chiayi County remain without electricity more than 10 days after Typhoon Danis passed over Taiwan. The typhoon swept across the Chiayi-Tainan plain, leaving over 1 million households temporarily without power nationwide. Although the storm exited from the Taoyuan-Hsinchu area on the morning of July 7th, as of July 18th, approximately 250 households in Chiayi County were still without power. The hardest hit areas are Izu Township with 104 households and Budai Township with 60. Taipower Vice President Tsai Te-ming explained that most of the remaining outages involve fish farm operators located at the far ends of the power grid. These users are spread out across remote areas with narrow access roads, and in some cases, utility poles have collapsed directly into the ponds. The resulting repair work is more complex and time-consuming, and restoration timelines remain uncertain. Meanwhile, media reports alleged that Taipower employees were instructed to stage photos during repairs and file real-time work volume reports, adding to their workload. In response, Tsai said that photographing the scene was primarily done at the request of the media and to provide transparency. As for real-time reporting, he said it's essential to track progress, manage manpower, and ensure accurate contractor payments. The Education Ministry has announced its consensus and action plan in response to the recent controversy over the National Taiwan Normal University women's soccer team's alleged coercion into exchanging blood for credits. Ministry officials held a press conference after a meeting with representatives of the victimized students on Thursday to detail their conclusions on 7 points. Videos of students in emotional distress being forced to give blood surfaced on social media late in 2024, sparking nationwide outrage. Whistleblower Jian Qisen said that their coach, surnamed Zhou, forced them to participate in excessive blood donation, with Jian having undergone more than 200 blood donations in exchange for course credits during her time at the university. She detailed that the draws were not performed by medical professionals, resulting in pain and bruising, and the research subsidies were allegedly collected by the coach as, quote, team funds. The Education Ministry's 7-step plan includes an interdepartmental special team, which will explain the results to the outside world after a comprehensive investigation. Additionally, the research organizations will each be fined 500,000 NT dollars, which is over 17,000 US dollars. The Education Ministry will bear the fees of any resulting Student Institutional Review Board expenses, as well as introduce a hotline and an in-person team available for psychological counseling and legal consultation for involved students. Evidence of the academic ethics violations and bullying will also be reviewed, and a subsequent decision will be made on whether the coach will lose her license. Lastly, evaluations will determine if other National Taiwan Normal University personnel are guilty of administrative negligence. Health Minister Chiu Tai-yuan underscored that students' human rights and right to education must not be violated. He assures the public that the authorities will hold those responsible accountable and deal with them severely. The Central Weather Administration, or CWA, has issued a maritime warning for Typhoon Wipa, which will most severely impact Taiwan as it passes through the Bassa Channel Friday evening and enters the South China Sea on Saturday. The tropical depression originating in the Philippines' eastern sea strengthened into a typhoon early on Friday. At the time of reporting, the storm center was roughly 600 kilometers southeast of Eluanbi with a radius of 100 kilometers and gusts of 72 kilometers per hour. Wipa is forecasted to reach the upper limit of a light typhoon with a radius increase to 220 kilometers. The maritime warning covers the Bassa Channel and the seas around Dongsa Island, with the CWA also cautioning the public to expect heavy rain and wind over the eastern half of Taiwan, down the Hengchun Peninsula, Lanyu, and Green Islands. As for the western half of Taiwan, the weather should remain cloudy with thunderstorms, with special attention needed for wind gusts. Fortunately, the CWA assures that the probability of issuing a land warning is not high, though wave activity along the coasts may reach 3 to 4 meters, so the public should refrain from going to the beach. The legislature voted to suspend the current session until August 31st. The KMT and TPP pushed the vote through using their numerical majority, overpowering DPP opposition to the movement. The current session was due to conclude at the end of May. However, the KMT and TPP passed a proposal to postpone the session through July 31st, which passed mid-April. This time, the TPP proposed mid-June to once again delay the session to August 31st. After a meeting, the motion was fast-tracked to a second reading and consultation. In an inter-party meeting, TPP officials explained the reason behind the postponement, namely dealing with the election and recall law and the trust law. While the rationale was supported by independent members and those of the KMT, DPP legislators questioned the timing, suggesting it may be a plot to buy time and avoid judicial responsibility. As there was no agreement between the parties, the postponement proposal was sent to the floor of the legislature for a vote on Friday. DPP Secretary General Rosalia Wu commented that her party had no issue with the postponement as a whole, but felt there should be a legitimate reason. She said if legislators did not break the law, then there was nothing to fear from adjourning the legislative session. KMT legislator Chen Yuzhen said that the Taiwan-U.S. tariffs, exchange rates, and special budget will greatly impact the country and will be addressed in August, with TPP legislator Lin Guozhen agreeing that the postponement does not benefit the KMT as all parties agree that the current issues need to be resolved as soon as possible. President Lai Ching-te received the first batch of young exchange students from its Youth Overseas Dream Fund program. Since the program opened to students from Taiwan's diplomatic relations, Lai welcomed them in the presidential office, wishing them a memorable and fruitful study. The students included nationals of Eswatini, Palau, the Marshall Islands, and Tuvalu. Lai welcomed them to Taiwan, noting that Taiwan shares values and deep friendship with all of their home countries. He continued that while the Youth Overseas Dream Fund program allows young Taiwanese to pursue their dreams in friendly countries, he wanted to extend a reciprocal opportunity to the youth of Taiwan's friends. The newcomers were welcomed in the auditorium of the presidential office, a space shared by diplomats and heads of state. However, Lai welcomed them just as warmly, saying,
"You are likely the first ever guests received for breakfast in the main hall of the presidential office in Taiwan. We are serving the staple of Taiwanese breakfast food, sesame flatbread, deep-fried dough sticks, and soy milk. Today you'll be having sesame flatbread with egg and soy milk. I hope you enjoy it."
Lai also said that the Foreign Ministry and Education Ministry will be providing the best assistance they can, regardless of the program the guests choose to pursue during their stay. Foreign Minister Lin Jialong also welcomed the new arrivals in a speech, saying that their arrival and participation in the program was proof of the deep friendship between Taiwan and its friendly countries. He wished them a fruitful experience which could further exchanges on an individual level between Taiwanese and its friends. The Taiwan Film and Audiovisual Institute, or TFAI, has released a rare documentary short film believed to have been shot in the 1920s. Captured on celluloid, the 7-minute film offers a vivid look at Taiwan during the Japanese colonial era, showcasing architecture, folk customs, agricultural scenes, indigenous life, and signs of colonial rule. The footage provides a rare window into the island once known as Formosa, a name derived from a Portuguese word meaning beautiful island. Originally gifted in 1991 by the Netherlands Film Museum to what was then the National Film Archive, the film has since become a cornerstone of Taiwan's visual heritage. TFAI CEO Iris Du said the institute will continue to verify and interpret early visual records, adding that public access to such archives helps return the narrative power of these images to Taiwanese society. TFAI also announced a new international initiative this year, urging film archives around the world to repatriate pre-1960s footage related to Taiwan's indigenous peoples. Once returned, these materials will be carefully studied and archived in Taiwan, with the goal of reconstructing lost histories and promoting broader conversations around cultural preservation and visual sovereignty. Thanks for joining me for the news. I'm Michelle Chang. Stay tuned for another 50 minutes of English language features brought to you by Radio Taiwan International.
You're tuning in to Radio Taiwan International, Taiwan's national broadcaster. Here at RTI, we have a range of entertaining and informative content for you to enjoy. You can find all of our content on our website at en.rti.org.tw. That's en.rti.org.tw for news, shows, and more. We're also on shortwave radio. If you're residing in South Asia, we broadcast from 1600 to 1700 UTC at 9405 kHz. From all of us here at RTI, we wish you a lovely day.